So you just scooped up a flash for your food photos and you don't really know where to begin. First of all, congrats on taking that step into the artificial light game. But today I want to help you get set up using flash, starting out with it, really elevating your food photos and making them pop with just a few simple tricks. Here we go. So number one is diffusion. This is super important in food photography, really creating nice soft shadows and not blown out highlights. We want to try to emulate that window look of natural light that you would get. So what I like to do here is move my diffuser basically all the way up next to my subject. I want it really close, kind of like all the way pushed up against my table. And then my flash or my strobe just about 3 to 4 feet back from the diffuser. And this kind of goes into my next point. The closer you move your flash to your diffuser, the stronger your shadows are gonna be and the more blown out your highlights are gonna be. So play around with that distance and find something that works for you. Usually it's like right around 3 to 4 feet. If you can go further than 3 to 4 feet, by all means do it. You're gonna get even softer shadows at that point. I just really like being able to have it 3 to 4 feet away without having to crank my power on my flash all the way up. Because the further you go away, the more flash and more power is required to even reach the diffuser and then ultimately reach your food. So just keep that in mind. Next thing I want to talk about is your flash angle relative to your food. This is very important when shooting straight on, and I'm talking very specifically about side light here. Your flash angle is going to determine how much contrast and how much highlights and shadows you have in the front of your food, which is where your viewer's eyes are going to be going. You can play around with this one quite a bit and just like move your flash around your food and just feel and see what you like best and what really brings out all of the characteristics of the specific food that you're shooting. Try to just experiment with this one, moving, kind of like rotating your flash around your subject as side light, and see what you like best. Maybe you want it positioned a little bit more in the front so it's bringing more light into the front of your subject. Or maybe you want it in the back to create like a little bit more of a moody look that brings more shadows into the front of your subject. So keep those two things in mind. When I'm shooting flat lay style images or top down style images, I like the flash coming in from the top of the photo. So like when you're looking at it, the most illuminated parts are gonna be at the top. I feel like this is just like a really nice way of illuminating your food photos from a flat light perspective. Next is side light versus backlight. And these are probably the two most popular lighting angles for food photography. They really lend to like bring out the best characteristics of the food you're shooting. Backlight is really nice for bowls and soups and salads and all of that kind of stuff where you really need to see those features. Side light is excellent for drinks and pancakes and burgers and all of that good stuff. So kind of play around with side light versus backlight when you're shooting. What's great about flash is you can basically leave your food, if it's not super time sensitive, you can basically leave your food or your subject right there and just move your flash around with your diffuser. Lighting is the #1 thing in food photography. And if you can nail it, that's gonna tell a much better story for your food. The last thing I wanna talk about is using positive and negative fill. Negative fill are basically black foam boards, and positive fill is basically a white foam board. And a positive fill, what that's going to do is it's going to bounce your flash back onto your scene. So you can see if you shot without a foam board, the light's just gonna travel across your subject and just like keep going away from your subject. It's just gonna keep going in that same direction. But if you were to use a whiteboard in place opposite of your flash, what that's gonna do is the flash is gonna come across, it's gonna go across your food, and then it's gonna hit the white foam board, and then it's gonna come back onto your food. And this is really nice for elevating your shadows and bringing like a little bit more light in the scene from the opposite side. Now, if you really want to get rid of those shadows completely and just like kind of absorb all that light, think of a black foam board as being that. It's gonna be like a black hole and it's gonna suck all of that light into your scene. So if you set up a black foam board across from your subject, all of that light is going to be absorbed into the black and nothing is gonna come back onto your scene at all. So it's gonna create really rich, strong, darker shadows. The last thing I want to mention today is don't be afraid to experiment. You have the freedom and the flexibility to move your flash and diffuser around from different angles, from different heights. So it's really nice you have that luxury. Whereas if you were shooting with natural light, you are kind of limited in that aspect. You're just like next to a window and you can basically do side light and backlight, but you can't change the power, you can't change the intensity, you can't really change the angle of the light because you're stuck with basically what you have. Take what I use in this video as a tool and as a baseline to getting started with flash and understanding like how it works and how you can achieve different lighting techniques with your food and your products and just like go from there. And that's a wrap for today's video. I really hope you guys enjoyed this quick, short tutorial on getting started with flash for food photography. It's so simple, it's easy. Keep taking great food photos, guys, and I'll see you next time. Oh, and before I forget, if you just stumbled upon this video before you even have a flash for food photography, I have a really cheap setup for basically like $131 to really get you going. Go watch that one first and then come back to this one, and then you'll have an awesome starting point for elevating your food photos. Later, guys.